Youth doing the impossible.
Hello, welcome to Youth Doing the Impossible. This is a broadcast that is designed to provide young people with information that will cause renewal of the mind and help them harness their God-given potential so that they can be able to unleash unprecedented, unique innovations and creativity that you can only capture from the realms of God. In this program, we'll believe that every decade God works with people to unleash the impossible, to achieve the impossible. And this decade is not going to be an exception. God has set up a lot of unusual things He wants to achieve. And I've observed that His preference has always been young people. God works with young people to achieve the impossible across sectors. So, as a young person that is listening to me today, I want you to open your heart, be in position, be in readiness, so that you don't miss the call when God calls you to greatness this decade. We'll be getting to the conversation right away, but right after this breakout.
Youth doing the impossible.
So welcome back from that very short break. So this is our first episode of Youth Doing the Impossible. I decided to go online and drop a poster, and I wanted people to respond to it because that's around what I wanted to talk about. So I asked a question. And I said, what are the most potent force in the world today, operating since the creation of the world? And I dropped it on Facebook, on different platforms, and quite a lot of people responded. And I'm happy to say that two people got what was in my mind. And, it doesn't mean that other people were wrong, but that's basically what I was focusing on. And that's what I'm going to start talking about. Fanan Door, old friend of mine, she wrote words, quite a lot of posts. I can't read everybody's post. Susan Daddy Mary said words. Definitely, God used words to create both the scene and your scene. Interestingly, it's the ladies that got what I was thinking about. So for the ladies and the guys, thanks for trying. And the things you said, we're going to talk about them hopefully later on. So I'm starting a series that I titled Shaping Your Life with Words. Shaping Your Life with Words. I consider words to be one of the most powerful force in the universe today. Now, whether written or spoken words, powerful, more powerful that you can imagine. So let me explain. The purpose of this series, why I'm focusing on words, the purpose of this series is first of all to inform young people about the impact of words on their lives, and secondly, to help young people make adjustment about their word culture. You're going to make adjustment about your word culture. Word culture means the same, and then hopefully get you to participate in our Good Treasure Challenge. And I will talk about the Good Treasure Challenge in subsequent episodes. So let me start by telling you a story I read about. It's somewhere called the Solomon's Island. They have a myth. A myth is something like people believe, but you're not so sure whether it's happening or not, or whether it happened or not. But it looks like it's been passed down as stories from one generation to the other. So, the Solomon's Island have this famous myth that when they go out to cut an enormous tree, and it's difficult for them to cut down, they come together and perform what they call the curse magic. The curse magic. And what is the curse magic? They gather around the tree and then they shout negative words to the tree for a while. They just gather around the tree, shout negative words to the tree for a while, and then they go. And the myth has it that after a couple of days, the tree falls down and dies. Yeah. A big tree they can't cut. They've tried to use their saws and everything. They can't cut it down. They just come together, do the magic curse, speak negative words to it, and go away. And after a while, the tree falls down and dies. It is rumored to be a myth, right? But the people there believe this myth. What do you think? Well, I would think from the Bible. I believe it's possible because I've seen that happen in the Bible. Yeah, and I'll show you. If you go to Mark chapter 11, verse 12 to 14. So Mark chapter 11, verse 12 to 14. Now the next day when they had come out from Bethany, he was hungry. And seeing from afar a fig tree having leaves, he went to see perhaps he could find something on it. When he had come to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. Right? In verse 14, in response, Jesus said to it, "Let no one eat fruit from you ever again." And his disciples heard it. Now, we know the scripture, but now here's what's interesting for me. Go to verse 20. Now in the morning as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. And Peter, remembering, said to him, "Rabbi, look, the tree which you cursed has withered away." And so Jesus said to them in verse 22, "Have faith in God." In verse 23, this is one of my favorite Bible scriptures. It said, "For assuredly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things which he says will be done, he will have whatever he says." And so, the Bible is showing us that what the people in the Solomon's Island believe as a myth is actually reality. Yes, it's reality. It's happening every day in our lives, right? There are many studies that have been also conducted where you take plants. Some scientists took 3 of the same plants and put in 3 different rooms. And in one room, they spoke kind words to those plants. In the second room, they cursed the plant. In the third room, they said nothing. And after a while, they came back because get what they observed. The plant in the room that they spoke kind words to grew better than all the other plants. What is that communicating to us? That words are powerful. It's not just words. I keep saying it's not just words. This thing we call just words, it's not just words. Words are powerful. Words are forces. And this agrees with the scripture. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 21 talks about this. It said, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they who love it shall eat the fruit thereof. See, friends, every time you speak as a young person, whether you know it or not, you are releasing the seed of life or death. And in time, the seed is going to come back with a harvest. You know when you plant stuff, right? It comes back as a harvest. It doesn't come back as the same seed that you've planted. And to help you really understand how powerful words are, God created the heavens and the earth with words. Everything in creation came into existence through words spoken by God. Let me tell you how powerful words are. By the 3rd verse of the Bible, the word effect came into play. Right? Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Verse 2, the earth was without form. Verse 3, and God said. As a student, do you know that you can use words to control your university education experience? Yes. You can get into school and say, "I'm graduating well." And you begin to speak these words and release it, because it's not just word, you're releasing forces. "I'm graduating with flying colors. I'm coming out well," and all of that. You may be a copper or about to go for service. Do you know you can use words to frame where you'll be posted to? I'm telling you, you can keep, you can decide where you want to be posted to and start speaking words consistently. I'm going to show you a bit of this as we go on, how to do this, right? Or you're looking for a job. Do you know you can use your word to shape or frame the kind of place you will work and the kind of boss you have? You can keep saying, "I'm going to work in a great place and I'm going to have a great boss." You can begin to speak those things to shape yourself, because the Bible just showed us in Mark chapter 11 verse 23 that you will have what you say. Can you imagine? You will have what you say. It means if you begin to say right now that by the end of this decade, I'm going to become this and that. Speak great, powerful, inspiring words. As you begin to speak them and consistently practice it, it's going to happen. This is a powerful tool that people that understand have used over and over and over again. So in this COVID-19 era, what have you been saying? Yes, it's so important. What have you been saying? You may not know this, but an average person can speak about 100 words per minute. An average person can speak about 100 words per minute and about 9,000 words per hour, and up to 30 or 40,000 words per day, depending on kind of work you do. For instance, an on-air presenter, you're going to speak a lot more words, or someone that is in a call center where you're receiving calls, you speak more words than someone who works where there isn't a lot of work, there's a lot of mental stuff. But, for me, what's important is that many people, consciously or unconsciously, are releasing words that is impacting their everyday and their reality. We are in the season of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? In my mind, I believe that COVID-19, we've prayed against it, we've spoken against it, and it's drying from the roots. So that's what I believe, right? And because that's what I believe, there's a way I speak about it. But what are people all over the place saying? You're hearing stuff like they catch everybody, just to keep people anyhow. I was speaking with somebody on the phone, the person said people are dying anyhow, people are just dying anyhow. I'm not going to say that, because the words that I speak, whether I know it or not, have consequences. I'm releasing seeds of life or seeds of death. And if you look at Proverbs chapter 6 verse 2, it said, thou art snared with the words of your mouth. Thou art taken with the words of your mouth. Snared is words. Taken is like trapped. A particular translation says, you are trapped by the words of your mouth. You are ensnared with the words of your mouth. So COVID-19 right now is running over the place, looking for people who are talking carelessly. There is a way you talk about There's a way you talk about COVID-19, you use your mouth and invite the virus to your house. The point I'm making is that as young people, we need to become more intentional about how we talk, what we say, because words are powerful. As I wrap up this episode, I want to just do a simple illustration. Imagine that every word you speak is entering a jar. Imagine that every word you speak is entering a jar, right? And every morning, as you wake up on a new day, you are asked to put your hand in the jar and take just one word. And that whatever word you take will be your reality for that day. So every word you're speaking have been entering here as like a jar word, right? And then the next day you're told, go and pick one word from the ones you've been dropping there, because that's going to be your reality. I'm asking you today, what do you think will be the predominant words you've sent into the jar? Are they life-giving words, or are they going to be death-giving words? Because the illustration is that anything you pick, if you pick sick, that's what your reality will be for that day. If you pick rich, that's what your reality will be for that day. If you pick prospering, that's what your reality will be for that day. If you pick COVID-19 cannot catch me, that's what your reality will be for that day, right? We're shaping our present and our future with the words that we speak every day. The life that you're living today is majorly a product of the things you said many years ago. The life that you're going to live the next week, the next month, the next few years is also going to be a product of the things you're saying today. And that's why, as a young person, you don't want to say, I'm a youth, I'm just a young person, my words have no consequence, I'm just a student, I'm just a corporate, just words. I just want you to know today that they are not just words. My last scripture in this episode is Proverbs chapter 18 verse 20, which is, a man's belly will be filled with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lip he shall be satisfied. Your belly, imagine that your belly is your destiny, is going to be filled with what? The fruit of your mouth, the things you have said, right? So I'll summarize by saying, it's not just words. The things you're saying, they are not just words. They have more lasting impact on your life than you can imagine. They are not just words.
Youth doing the impossible.
Well, this is how much we can do today on Youths Doing the Impossible. I'm sure you've learned something. I would like to hear from you. What stuck out to you? Do you have questions? We have information right there on the screen. You can reach out to us, share with us what struck out to you, the questions you have, and if there's something you'd like us to explain a lot more, we'll be happy to do that.